Hey, how you doing? I thought we'd do a little bit of a live stream. Here we go. Is that sounding pretty good? Stream sounds sensational. It's a bit of an odd time, isn't it? A bit of an odd time to be coming on. So we got Mitchell. Hey, how are ya? Sorry, just slightly distracted there. Ooh, 11 viewers already. So what I wanted to talk about is, with all the fear and FUD in the markets around crypto and NFA, not financial advice at all, but there could be some financial related stuff in here, I guess. There's all this fear about, is the government going to ban Bitcoin or Ethereum or the blockchain? And they might, and I'm not really going to comment on that, but what would you do? What I want to talk about is what would you do if you had, say, invested a small amount into Zed Run, and now that small amount is significantly greater? Do you sell out, or do you hang on, or what do we do? What do we do with that? Zed Run hasn't been really affected yet because there isn't really that supply and demand in the market. There's a lot of demand in the market, so it's not really been affected by the current crypto downturn as such, as that I can see, but it certainly could do, and I expect it to have a significant dip at some stage, okay? So it's always the case with anything like that. You have your ups and your downs. That's what we're going to be talking about. Fee paid. Thank you, Mitchell. Who else we got? 333 Trip. You guys just must hang out all day just waiting for me to come online so you can jump in here first. Oh yeah, looking fresh. New hairdo. My little boy had, he's got big long scruffy hair, and he's itching his head all weekend, and he had nits. The old nits through the family, so I was like, good time for me to just shave the whole head off. That'll do. I was due for a haircut anyway, so why not? And I often just shave my head crew cut style anyway. My little boy didn't want to shave crew cut style though, but he's quite attached to his long scruffy head. Joys of working from home. Oh yeah, cool that you can jump in whenever I go live. So anyway, so interesting. With any speculative type of thing like we have, again, NFA, not financial advice, but with anything like this, the prices tend to fluctuate, don't they? Or they're going to tend to fluctuate. At the moment, the prices are sort of artificially held in one position because there is very, very little supply. And there's no breeding open to replenish that supply. And at the moment, we don't know when the next drop is to sort of also get more supply into the market. So at the moment, if you're looking on OpenSea, the prices they're through the roof, okay? And I look at my stables, and me and my brother, we invested, I'm not sure, about $10,000 each over the first 12 months of this project. But if I look at my horses now and the prices on OpenSea, we could easily liquidate for, I would suggest, $1 million. Easily get $1 million from what we've got in our stables. And considering we own horses like Breathless Edge, Grandeur, Alive After 5, Insane Him, some of the most prominent race winners in the game, that bundle of 4 horses all on their lonesome it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they could fetch, $1 million or more for just those 4. And then you go and add the other 70 odd horses that we have in there as well. Okay, so you start thinking, well, we only invested 10,000 each, so let's say 20,000, and it's well within possibilities that we could now sell out for $1 million or more. And I think you'd agree with that when you have a look through our stables and the horses that we have. And it's not silly numbers, even if you just add up our Z1s. What did the Z1s go for last? It's probably significantly less now, but they were selling for, I think, 36,000, which is now, Ethereum is halved, so let's call it 20,000. And look, we have 22 of those. So just based on those alone, you're looking at $500,000. But when you add on the significantly more valuable Grandeur, Breathless Edge, Insane Him, Alive After 5, maybe not. So yeah, what do you do? Do you ride the bull as long as it goes, or do you try and sell out? We have sold a few, back when this first exploded, we sold a lot of our Z10s, we sold a lot of our lower Zs, and we even sold a Zed Run. We sold we sold a couple, but only one when the bull was really bucking and the prices were really, really high. We sold one for 30 Ethereum plus a couple of other horses, which was nice because that really allowed us to sort of take the pressure off and potentially pull some money out. Now, we didn't pull any money out. We invested it all back in to New Genesis, so that was maybe a bit silly at the time, but it is what it is. Now, what do you do? I'm sitting in my garage studio, double garage studio here, in a rental property. I would love my own house, and I could sell all my Zed Run completely out and buy my own house. But the way I look at it is, we didn't really spend that much money on the original investment, so that's not a big deal. But now it's increased to such a degree that there is a little bit of financial stress, I suppose, or expectation from what we now have, even though we got it via a relatively small investment. So do we sell some just to feel comfortable? Or, once breeding opens up as well, and we start seeing a monthly return from the offspring sales that we sell, then the pressure significantly lessens month on month as you start, potentially building up some value in Ethereum, I suppose, from selling those offspring. So it's in a funny, and I know probably most of you are coming from a much newer involvement in the game. So the horses you have bought may not have increased as much as, I guess, what our overall stable has, but I'm sure there's a lot of you here that have been around from the first or second or third drops and, bought horses that are now 10 or so times the value. And you might be in a similar position where you've spent $1,000 and now you could sell out for $10,000. But do you? Because if you sell out for $10,000, can you get back in for less? And that $10,000 investment that you have in those horses, what could it potentially return per month? And that is where the real interesting thing becomes, and obviously not financial advice, but if that $10,000 investment in horses that you have can produce potentially $500, $1,000 a month, and then when you stack that month on month together, you might eventually get what you would have got for selling the horse over a period of 6 or 12 months through breeding the horse. So that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, it's a real dilemma from my perspective is you have that FUD and doubt around the crypto community, and this is a crypto project. So not only do you have the crypto risk, but you've also got the Zed Run risk. Either one of those projects could fall down. Now, I don't expect Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those larger projects to just completely fail, but it's not beyond the realms of what could happen, I suppose. But then also Zed could have regulations or something like that come in and significantly affect the feasibility of this project as well. So there's all those things to kind of think about. And I'm not adding FUD onto FUD. Well, I probably am, but with my stable at this current position, I am not selling because I believe that the potential return from the investment that I have made is more valuable than what I can sell for right at this point. What do you guys think about that? Are you in a similar sort of frame of mind, or are you selling a little bit? Are you selling a little bit? Should I sell a little bit? I've thought about that. I've put some feelers into the market, in fact, to sell maybe 1 or 2 Z1s. I don't know whether that would eventuate. I would need some pretty good money for those to be pried out of my stable. That's for sure. Raymond's here as well. Yeah, we might talk about that, Hunter, actually, the next point. We might jump over to OpenSea in a moment and have a look at that. Hunter, do you cash out early adoption and make your buck, or do you risk it and hold for a big payday? Well, that's the kind of the thing, Hunter, and the reason why once breeding opens that it becomes less risky, because you start sort of cashing in slowly. And if we can get 6 or 12 months without any major hiccups, then it probably doesn't matter anyway. it probably doesn't matter anyway, because I will be much more comfortable within 6 months of breeding, as a lot of you guys and girls would be as well. But yeah, I could also, I mean, it's not an all or nothing type of scenario, is it? I could also sell 2 or 3 Z1s just to feel more comfortable. And I'm not suggesting that I'm currently feeling uncomfortable. There's no reason to feel uncomfortable. But at the same sense, it's also, you know, not the most silly idea to sort of get a higher level of comfort. And I have discussed this with a few other people. But yeah, so CP's done that, sold a little bit, holding the rest long term. So I guess what kind of makes it more interesting is I did sell, I got that really good price for that Z1 of 30 Ethereum back probably 2 months ago now. And we were feeling really comfortable because we had a lot of Ethereum from that sale. And then I went and spent it all on the last drop. So now I'm back at that level where I'm like, I'm all in again. I'm back all in Zed Run. I don't really have the money to invest anymore if I get a nice dip in the Zed Run prices. You know, if the Z1s, let's say for example, we have some sort of a dip in Zed Run and it affects the prices. And I've seen it happen before. You might think right now that it's never going to happen. But back when I joined Zed Run, the Z1s were 5 Ethereum, 4 or 5 Ethereum they were selling for. Then over the first 3 to 4 to 5 months of being within Zed Run, I watched them drop all the way down to a bottom of 1 ETH. All right. I didn't buy any. There was only one person that bought a couple for around that 1 ETH mark. The lowest I got was 1.4. And I bought many, probably 5, 6, maybe even 8 around 1.5 to 2. And now that we've since seen them go to, I think the last drop was 10 ETH on the Z drop. And we see them regularly going for, if we go to the Zed Run portal, what's it called? znucleus.com. Let's bring that over here and we'll have a look at that. I'll open up the screen to you guys as well in a moment. Here we go. So again, what? Hello, why is that not working? All right, that works, but you can't see me. You can't see me. Oh well, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec, can I? The joys of live, whoops. Okay, it's that one, copy. Copy. For whatever reason, this one's working. Paste. Hello. All right, the joys of live. Anyway, so we got zed-nucleus.com/OpenSea and we can see active listings and recent sales. So if we come here, Z1, you can see 9, 9, 10-ish, 17, 18, 15. So they're for unraced. So potentially I could sell one of my horses like Tramp or something like that that has a really good win rate, about 10 or 20%. Let's have a look at Tramp. Most of my Z1s have got really nice win rates, to be honest. This is in my brother's stable, but you can see they're 21 races, and look at this first, second, third. That's exceptional, 5, 4, 4. And now a lot of that is probably, well, not a lot, but probably 1/3 to half of that is probably free racing. Okay, so you've got to take that into mind too. But even with saying that, it is a very nice horse. Okay, it is a very nice horse. So what would that go for on the current marketplace? You've got to think, or I got to think, it's got to be above 20 Ethereum. So, you know, maybe selling 1 or 2 of those might be the best way to go to sort of balance that out. And then if we come back, ooh, OpenSea, remember, Sadsy Art, Patina 1 of 1 with, I don't have the physical print, but it comes with a physical print as well. Currently, 0.22. Get on that. I think the link to that is in the description. It ends in 2 days. What was I going to? Oh, OpenSea. Explore. The art. All right, that's jumped up above Zed Run. What is that all about? Might be a new launch. Zed Run, and we go to Genesis. Genesis. And let's just go to Z10s for the sake of it. Excuse me. And we'll go to the lowest. Sort by lowest. Low to high. And while we're at it, let's go to 0 races. All right, let's see what the unraced Z10s are going for. The lowest unraced is going for 0.42 roughly, which is nearly $900. So that's pretty good, isn't it? That's pretty crazy. At the moment, there is a lot of upside, a lot of upwards pressure on pricing, I think, because there is no drop announced, there's no breeding to soften the impact. So everyone that wants to get in, and a lot of people want an unraced one so that they can reveal the racing themselves or keep it for the future. But these horses, when the next drop comes, are probably going to be around, I don't know, maybe $200 US, $250 US. So you're paying a considerable premium, aren't you, to get an unraced Z10 at the time being. So I would, at the moment, when you're looking at these things, there's times to jump in and just buy, and there's times to just sit on the sidelines and just sort of bide your time. And I think, not financial advice, I think that when breeding opens and when the next drop is announced, that there's going to be opportunities to buy these Z10s at a slightly discounted rate or a slightly cheaper rate, particularly with the next drop. Okay, let's have a look at some questions. And if we look at what are Z1s, what's the cheapest Z1? Okay, let's do that too. 1 second. Zed Run. Genotype, Z1. What's the cheapest Z1 currently? It is 9.9, then 12, then 14. Okay. So that 9.9 happens to be Tinder Romance, an ex-horse of mine. I sold that horse about 4 or 5 months ago for 1.95 Ethereum, which was huge money for that horse at the time. And it had 30 races and no wins, or maybe 1 win. And it's since had, should we switch back? I'll switch back because I'm talking without showing. So it's now had 74 races and a win rate of 2.7, so 2 wins. All right. But the interesting thing about this horse is if you look it up, it's very, very consistent. Very, very consistent. I almost thought about buying this back for a future tournament horse because it finishes almost always in the top 6. So that could be a very, very good horse. So, 9.9 for a horse with a 2% win rate seems expensive. But when you consider the future premium races, I don't know, but they could be tournament style where you have 500 to 1,000 or 10,000 horses starting out and tiering up till we get one final race with, who knows, $500,000 or $1 million pot for the winner. A horse like this that consistently finishes in the top 6. Let's go to Know Your Horses. Tinder Romance. Well, yeah, see, out of those 74, it's only finished 2, 3, 4, 5 races outside the top 7. And the rest have been up in 7th or better. So, depending on how those tournament races set up, this is a very consistent horse that has that patch between 7th and 3rd. Ideally you would want the horse to be between 1st and 5th. That would be a better patch, but that's not bad. That's not bad. All right, let's have a look at what you guys think about the whole scenario. Hunter says 20 grand, just let it ride. Yeah, I'm a little bit like that. CP says sold a little bit, holding the rest long term. Yeah, Matt, me and my brother are already on house money essentially. We've already taken out or reinvested our initial investment into other NFTs. So Zed Run doesn't hold any of our original investment anymore, or if it does, it's very, very little. Passive income from horses will be decent. Yep, that is also my opinion too. Dan says, I'm definitely not investing in Zed as much as I did in Top Shot until I see new adopters actually bring money to the platform. Interesting. Yeah, I would have thought that's already happened to a degree. Every one of these drops keeps selling out, and every time we have breeding, keep in mind we bred 3,000 horses last time breeding opened. There's none of those to be seen on the market anymore. They're all sold. So, yeah. But we do have a potential hurdle of when breeding does open and we have lots and lots of horses being bred each and every month. What does that do to the market? That will be interesting as well. Zed Nucleus just started its own Discord. That's going to be good. Yeah, I'm not too fussed on Discord, to be honest. Shore season finally caught a live one. Yeah, it's a bit of a different time, 1 p.m. my time here in Australia, just after lunch. So it's nice. Make sure you're subscribing and getting those notifications, and you've got YouTube open on your phone so that you get notified when I come on at these random times. Yeah. Okay. So not too many questions there. So guys, that was just a bit of a short, quick one. Like, what do we do? We've invested this little bit of money or whatever money we've invested, and do we wait around and start breeding and try and get, you know, that income coming that way? Do we sort of sell out a certain percentage? And I've already sold, as I said, I probably sold 30 Genesis, I would think, when it first started blowing up. Now, in hindsight, I should have held those Genesis till right now, but we didn't know we were going to have this loggerhead of demand where, you know, lots and lots of demand and no breeding open and no drops on the foreseeable future. Well, there probably are on the foreseeable future, but we don't know about them yet. Hopefully Zed give us an update on that this week, and I'll let you guys know as soon as I see any or hear any updates. But yeah, it's an interesting scenario, isn't it? You know, you sell too early, or, you know, the horses that I have are all really great racers, so they're all going to earn reasonable money. I don't know what that money will be yet, but they're all going to be earners or have the potential to earn money within the breeding system, whether it be from purely stud fees or from breeding my own offspring and selling those offspring. And it's kind of like, I already sold out, I'm free rolling, so it doesn't really matter. In saying that, if Zed falls over tomorrow or, you know, in the next 3 months, and I go from a stable of having horses valued at in excess of $1 million to horses valued at, who knows, a couple of $1,000s again, that would be something hard to take too, wouldn't it? So, but that's the risk. That is the risk. And you've got to weigh that up. Are you willing to stay long term and maybe get the big payout? As who said that? Was that Matt, or was it, no, that was Hunter? Are you willing to take the risk and go the long term, or do you sell out half now and reduce the long term payout, but also reduce that long term risk? It's kind of interesting. Couple of questions. Jamie, do you know when breeding opens? Nope. I know as much as you guys. Would you race your Genesis horses? I do race all my Genesis horses, but keep in mind that I've got a lot. So I just raced a Z8 the other day after the Z8 auction. We both raced our Z8s and I wasn't happy with the performance, so I've since sold it. I sold it for 0.39 Ethereum, given that I only bought it for, I don't know what I bought it for, maybe 0.1, something like that. I decided to sell it, get a little bit more ETH in, feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe build up the ETH stack. If something happens, then I might buy some more high quality horses. I might buy some more, but then I'll be deeper in, I guess. Matt says, what about sitting on horses, not racing, waiting for the race pools to blow out after breeding opens? Aha. Yep. I've raced 2 of my Genesis now that I bought recently. I think I bought about 10 between me and my brother. I've raced 2. I keep getting itchy fingers to sort of race them and see what they're like. But I raced one today. It was pretty good. I raced, what was it called? It won the race nicely enough. Results. Forgot what the horse's name was called. It was, where's the Griffo? Well, let's go filters. Griffin. Probably that one. It was this one. Here we go. Nightway. That's my horse there, Poseidon 2. It was $5, $5 odds. I was happy with that. It's not the strongest Griffin ever. You've got Z5, 8, 6, 10, 5, 7, 7, 9, 9, 8, 18, 9. So it's not the strongest. There was another Z5 in there. This one, Arabian Illusion, which I think was about $13. So out of the two Z5s, that gives me some comfort that, you know, I would prefer to have Nightway than Arabian Illusion based on those odds. But, you know, who knows? Arabian Illusion might be an absolute monster at 1,000 metres. And Nightway might be just average across the board, and that might flip the value towards Arabian Illusion there. But as far as I think Satoshi's Secret was the second favourite as well. As far as Griffins, you know, you see stronger where there's a lot of Z1s and 2s in there, but you'll also see weaker once breeding opens where you've got a lot of Z25s, Z40s, Z18s, you know, these kind of horses. So for me, I'll be trying to wait for the majority of my horses to run in those races because it's going to make my horses look better than what they potentially are. So if you've got a Z1 dropping into that sort of field, it's probably going to be $3. Just because, you know, even if it's not good, it'll probably be $3 favourite in those really, really weak post-breeding Griffins. And that way you can kind of make your horse look much, much better and then slowly build up. And if it starts sort of drifting to 9s, 10s, 15s, you can sort of hold it there and maybe offload it if you like, or just retire it, or who knows, but that's my tactics. But I've been getting itchy fingers, but I've been reasonably lucky. Nightway got a first up win and $5 odds. Very, very happy with that. And then the other one, which was Damn Flash, had $8 odds to start with, and then won its second race at 15 to 1. And then I raced it one more time and it was 15s again, so I sold it. Okay, I didn't think that it was, you know, had huge potential. Now, whoever bought that maybe raced it again and maybe it looks much, much better. Raymond, am I racing right now? Why or why not? No, I'm not, and I'll show you why actually. This horse here, Nightway, for example, and this is where I think the class system is broken. So Nightway just ran one Griffin and got a win. It's now in class 3. And if I come here to class 3, let's look at a full race. Okay, I can't enter this. There's a lot of glitchy races at the moment that are like 12 of 12, isn't there? 12 of 12, 12 of 12, something going on there. But if I look at this 12 of 12, and it's only a small pot race, but let's look at, this is a race that I could potentially enter if there was space. And we come in here and you go, oh, this race is not too bad, but you've got, you know, a big decent horse here in Blazing Fire, or Foxfire. You know, this horse is pretty good, this horse is pretty good, and these horses. So, you know, you sort of go, oh, well, why have these horses got, you know, 170 races, and here I am with my little old Griffin with one race under my belt? That is not ideal from a new player perspective. If I put myself into a new player perspective and I come in here and go, oh, well, why am I racing against all these absolute weapon horses? Here we go here, a slightly bigger pot. You will look at the quality of this race. Look at this. Full house here, right? 13%, 10,000, 8,000 prize money, nearly 1,000 races. Oh, okay, this is a pretty good horse. Here's another one, Capri. 750, 800 races. Another one, Small Town, 435 races. Another one, Chase Down, 489 races. It's just so daunting from a new player perspective to be thrown from your first race Griffin into that. So I feel like the paid racing is kind of stacked at the moment, like stacked with winners like that. You know, you don't have to look at too many races. People have figured out their horses. Let's have a look at, here we go, class 2, 12, all filled up, you know. And this race is weaker than the class 3. You know, these horses are not proven. That one is. But mostly the races are proven, so I think it's a fight between the elite horses at the moment. So if you've got a horse, like I do, a lot of horses at 20-25%, I have to take a reality pill and say, right, do I want to race and reduce that win rate down to 18% or something like that for the sake of earning a little bit of Ethereum? I don't think many horses can make a heap of money unless you have a horse running in these class 4, class 5 races 100 times a day, and I don't have any of those style horses, okay? So I think there needs to be some slight rejigging in the class system, and I don't think it suits my racing at the moment, so I'd rather sit back. I've mentioned this before, there are times when I believe that you get really proactive, and there are times when you sit back, and for me at the moment I'm sitting back and waiting to see what eventuates with that class system there. Andrew, how do I imagine they fix the class system? I explained this in my alternate odds video, but no, expanding the class system just doesn't make the problem worse, but it just means that you're going to have the same proven horses. If you have 10 classes, 1 to 10, you're just going to have the same proven horses finding their way into class 10. Now, it might work initially for 3 months, but then eventually you're just going to find out that it just all comes back to the same issue. You're going to have a horse like Pinkman dominating class 10, and another one dominating maybe 8, 9, 10, and a series of horses dominating 5, 6, 7, and a series of horses dominating 3, 4, 5. You know what I mean? It's going to be exactly the same thing. So no, I don't think, well, at least I hope they don't just expand the class system and cross their fingers. I also hope that they don't rearrange the point system and hope that will work, because it won't. Okay, so if you rearrange the point system to make sure that horses like Steph Curry and Pinkman are in class 1, all it's going to do is find the horses that best suit those low down classes, and then we're all going to be looking for those style horses to then manipulate the lower down classes. The best way, in my opinion, is to split the classes not only into 1 to 5 as we currently do, but also split them into experience level. So you have the best idea that I think that the best idea that I can come up with, in my opinion, is that we have, say, 4 levels. You have barrier trials, okay, where every single horse gets, say, 10 or 15 barrier trials that don't count towards the stats and don't count towards, basically just the stats, okay? So you get 10 or 15 races to see how your results are at specific distances against other horses that haven't had races either. Once you get to 10 or 15, you can no longer enter barrier trials and you have to enter your first Griffin. Now, what you'll be able to do is barrier trial and try and find the best distance for your Griffin race. Okay, perfect, like real life horse racing, that's unreal, love that. 10, 20 barrier trials, find your Griffin distance, then look for your best Griffin distance. We may as well go back to full screen, see my new haircut. So barrier trials, 10 or 20 barrier trials, find your Griffin distance, enter your first Griffin, your first free Griffin like we currently do. Then after your Griffin, you again go into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 class system, but it's based on the rookie level. Okay, so you're considered a rookie horse, and a rookie horse would be a horse that has between 0 or say 1 Griffin and no actual racing. So it's had the Griffin but no actual racing, so 0 races, or 1 Griffin race if you want to put it that way, up to say 50 or 60 races. You're all racing against similar horses where the owner doesn't really know how good the horse is at here or there or whatever. And if you start winning or get on a run of 3 or 4 wins, then you progress up to class 3 or 2 or 1. Okay? And then once you get to 70 races and you start understanding where your horse is at, you then move up to the next experience barrier, which might go from rookie to, I don't know, pro level. Okay? And pro level, you would race from 70 races up to 150 or 200, all against similar style horses with a similar amount of races. Okay, and then once you change over these different categories, You know, you're always mixing with similar horses. And then finally, and again, in that pro level, you would still have different levels of class, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, just to split that up as well, but it's also based on experience. So it's a hybrid of experience versus class. And then once you get to that 150, 200 mark, you would shift to veteran or all-star, something like that. And at any point, you could choose to retire the horse. Like once you get to all-star and you're racing against Grandeur and Breathless and Rendezvous Peak and Ducky Malone, or Ducky Malin and potentially Pinkman and these horses that have all had lots of races, you might say, well, I don't think my horse can compete at that level with those horses. After 1 or 2 races, you might retire. So that is the best class system. Give me a shout down below, a thumbs up in the comments if you think that would be a suitable system where we go from barrier trials to rookie to pro to all-star, something like that. I think it makes a really, really good argument for a really, really good system. And it also means that, you know, by the time you find out Steph Curry's really good in the rookie, then after 50, 70 races, you're moving on to the pro level. Okay, and then you mix around with those guys for a couple hundred races and then you hit all-star. So it gives those really good horses a nice opportunity. If you happen to breed an absolute gun, then you've got this nice opportunity for it to be a really profitable winner until it gets to the all-star level where it gets a little bit more competitive. Similarly, if you've got all these horses that you don't really know how they work, then you're also racing against other horses with other trainers or stables that don't really know how their horses work either. Anyway, that's how I think it should work. Oh, simplify. I simplify. How much a Genesis worth at the moment? We just had a look at that, and Z10, the cheapest Z10 unraced Genesis, was roughly 0.4 Ethereum. Dan Fisher, your friends and family are not interested in Zed at all, so you're sort of in an echo chamber. Do I think there are 50 or 100,000 more people ready to invest 5 to 10k on a digital horse? I would think so, but I don't know so. I think the game has a really interesting future and longevity, but it's nothing to say that there isn't a serious mistake made and it all turns to doo-doo. Yeah, Carl, we can also add in handicaps. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think the system enables handicaps as well. Now, what we don't want to do is to handicap it to the point where there is no clear winners. Because the dream of horse racing, in my opinion, the dream of horse racing and what will probably become the dream of Zed is the dream of owning one of the best horses in the game. And everyone's talking about Steph Curry or Zombie Boy or Breathless Edge or, you know, that's the dream, to have a horse that is known as one of the best horses in the game and wins and, you know, their fair share or an unfair share of their races. Well, not unfair, but, you know, wins a lot of races and makes a lot of money. So we don't want to handicap it to the point where every horse wins an equal amount. You know, a politically correct winning system where every horse wins 10 out of 100 races or 8 out of 100 races, because that means that there is no dream because no one has a dream horse. So yes, but I do think there should be handicap races, but they shouldn't be the norm across all racing systems. There should be like a certain amount of handicaps where, you know, you might have a really good horse that beats the handicap, and that would be a really good horse as well. But when it's in a non-handicap race, that might not be the style of race that you should choose for that horse because it's not profitable. So then it opens up the field to more horses being special in their own special categories. I think that would be a really cool solution too. Matt says, Dan, in 3 years it could be 1 million users. And if new people buy a horse for $200 that races in bad races and wins every now and then, there will be 100k people with 10k stables. Maybe. Maybe. Raymond thinks 100,000 people seems low in 1 year. Yeah, I agree, Raymond. It's one of the highest potential games in the NFT ecosystem. Not financial advice, of course. Dan, afternoon, how you doing? What about classes based on real life? Yeah, I think absolutely. I think we can take a lot from real life. The way we split these up. There's many options. I just want to see horses racing, particularly after one race. If you've just bought a Griffin, you've just bought an unraced horse and you run it in your first Griffin, it's a Z10. And regardless if it wins, loses or finishes somewhere in the middle, you go straight into that Class 5 race and you're racing against horses with 1,000 races. It just doesn't seem quite right from an experience point of view. And then if you happen to keep running in the next 10 or 20 races against these horses and you keep losing and they keep winning, and you sort of, that's like, what, this seems rigged. What's going on? You should be racing against horses that have a similar amount of races, at least in the beginning, before you progress to the pro level or all-star levels, in my opinion. Love to see fillies and mares races. Yeah, those kind of things will happen. Colour races, mare races, that will happen. It's not something that I'm overly excited about, but it will happen. Weight for age. Yeah, I think Carl, weight for age is not going to work in Zed Run because we have no age. Age is not something that at this stage is not a trait that affects the horse. Maybe it will be in the future, and then weight for age might be a thing. But I haven't heard anyone talking about that the age of the horse negatively or positively affects the strength of that horse. And if that is in the future, then weight for age might be a thing. But it might be like weight for win percentage or weight for, some other strength criteria, for sure. Yeah, weight for age has nothing to do with wins. It's purely age. But age is not something that, in horse racing, if you've got a 10-year-old horse, then it's probably not very good. It's very, very different. One of my mates ringing me up. He's probably watching. Iggy, if you're watching, hello. Say hello in the comments. In real life, it's hard to lower your handicap. Yeah. So, handicaps could be a thing in their own category. I wouldn't want to see every single race be a handicap race, but I would love to see some races be a handicap race so that the good trainers, and that's how you become a good trainer. The job of a good trainer is to make your horse look as good as it possibly can look, even artificially pump that up if you can. Well, maybe. I don't agree with putting in 12 of your own or 11 of your own bad horses and one good horse to pump up the good horse's stats. But I do put my horses in free races to pump up my stats, and I will choose races that look like they're in my horse's winning favour to pump up its stats, rather than putting my horse in races where I think it's likely to lose. All right, I certainly won't do that. Well, the age could be the race run thresholds. Yeah, absolutely, Big Earn. And look, there could be age. I think age is a fairly easy trait to implement in the future, to write an algorithm for if they decide to do that. Meaning that horses are more likely to retire after, maybe it's per races might be easier rather than age. Because if you do it by age and say that right after 5 years your horse is going to start slowing down, then all of a sudden all those unraced, unbred Genesis horses are going to drop in value. So I think potentially if we are going to do like an age, weight for age style thing, it could be a weight for races run, which is more in line with what I was talking about with that rookie, pro, all-star categories, where the rookies are, any horse that's had less than 100 or 70 or 100 races, etc., up the way we go. Yep, Zed did double Discord users in a month, but since then we've been flatlined. There hasn't been much user growth in the last 3 or 4 weeks. As, Camping Carl says. But yeah, it ebbs and flows. We had huge media attention. I just did an interview for the national papers here this morning, So once I get that article, I'll share it with all of you guys there. But it's to be expected. You get these huge growth spurts, and then it plateaus off, and it finds that plateau, and then what's the next spike for growth? You know, we get another big user, Gary V, all of a sudden has a Zed stable and starts raving on about Zed horses. You know, we could see that 100,000 within a week or two if something like that was to happen. Anyway, lots of potential, lots of fun. Do it for fun. I'm just doing it for fun. I mean, I came on here and was suggesting that, do I sell some of my horses? Look, for me, hold on for the ride. I'm holding on for the ride. But do what you think suits you and do what you think makes you comfortable. There's no guarantee that I don't sell a horse in the next 2 or 3 days. Look, someone might contact me now after this video and say, hey, I want to buy a Zed Run off you. If it's the right money, I'll sell. I might even put one up. Maybe I'll put one up for 25 ETH and see if it sells. Could do that too. I agree, Y2J, the cost of entry right now is too great for a lot of people. I would agree with that. But I think once breeding opens and there's a flood of horses, we will see a return to the $200, $300 horse. And depending where they put that minimum breeding price at, I hope they actually lower it. We could even see horses getting even cheaper, like $100 or even under $100. But we'll wait and see for that. Yeah, Dane, I think, or Dane, Middlebrook. I think all that stuff is coming, mate, for sure. We're going to see lots of variation in races, and that's where the good trainers are going to be able to differentiate themselves from the trainers without the good information. You know, if you can say, right, in handicaps, I'm going to put this, this, and this horse because they have a distinct advantage. In particular class systems, I'm going to do this horse, this horse, this horse. In the mare only races where I don't have to race against Breathless Edge and Grandeur, I can put in this horse, this horse, this horse. Absolutely. Breeding will bring the cost of entry down for sure, I think. Couple of questions and we'll wrap this up. We'll wrap it up. Dan says, has Zed ever mentioned anything like releasing Genesis Gen 2? No, I've never heard that at all ever. It's only ever been mentioned that there's ever going to be 38,000. I don't have any reason to doubt that. If they did, it would put a huge doubt into the system, in my opinion. So we'll see. I would hope they would discuss that with the players. They have mentioned handing the game to the players at some stage once they're out of beta and all the Genesis are sold and they're happy with where the game is. They talked about handing the voting rights and whatnot over to the players. That would be awesome as well. Oh, Joe, you saw the auction live stream? Yeah, we did really well. We did. We got a great price for that and then handed it. I've already given that money over to the Pony Plug for their charity, and they were extremely happy with that, so that's brilliant. Matt says, bred horses will be better than Genesis eventually. Probably. In racing terms, yes. Breeding terms? Not so sure. Not so sure. But I do hope that they are better than Genesis in racing terms. And I think when we saw the likes of those glitch horses, Royd Rager, and I can't think of the name of the other one, doesn't matter, but we saw the future potential. You know, these horses came out and won 6 or 11 or 15 races straight, and we saw that the bred horses can be significantly better than what we currently have today. So that is the goal of all of us breeders, is to try and reach that level in the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, 10 years maybe. Who knows how long it takes. I hope it takes a long time. Escobar was the other one. Thanks, Matt. Okay, very last question. Johan, what's a good one? I'm hopeless at reading names, sorry about that. Johan, what's a good one to get if I only have 0.5 ETH? Look, not financial advice, I'm getting the t-shirt soon. Hey, bloody Stanley, if you're watching, where's my logo? I've got to get on and hassle him about the new logo. The t-shirts aren't coming. Well, they might. Who knows? I might do something. I would wait. I would wait. There's times when you want to spend all your money on horses or spend what you've got allotted to horse budgets. There's times when you should be doing that, like right now, ASAP, and there's times when you should wait. And I think with breeding opening And with still 15,000 Genesis horses sitting back in the Zed stables, ready to be deployed or sold in the near future, I would wait and see what Zed does in the next 2-3 weeks as far as announcements are concerned, and just bide your time. I think there's better opportunities than what are currently being presented. But if you just got itchy feet and you just want to get a horse and get it in racing, then jump out there and do that. Now I might let's put my horse in a race, if there's a good one. Let's put this new horse, okay, hang on. Actually, I'll do it in a minute. I'm going to drop my new horse, Night Way, into a... Oh, they keep filling up too fast. I might put it in that one. Haskell International Stakes. All right, I'll do that. So if you want to join me in Class 3, I'm going to put Night Way in there, and we'll see how it goes with its odds and its races and whatnot. All right, thanks for that, guys. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the sub button on the way out the door, and we'll come back tomorrow or the next day. We will chat again soon. Bye for now.